Good morning, YouTube. As always, hopefully you are all good and doing well, and welcome to episode 15 of The Cut and the start of week 21. So right now it is the 25th of May, Monday, the 25th of May, another bank holiday, an absolutely gorgeous day, hence why I'm in the, what is this called? Tank top thing. And in today's video, I'm going to take you through, I'm making a couple changes from the cut side of things to my nutrition and also my output as well. So I'm going to take you through that later. I'm also going to show you through my current physique and everything like that as well. And I'll timestamp the video, so if you want to obviously skip straight forward to that bit, you can do. But there won't be an update for week 20. Last week, I actually did a different YouTube video showing you through exactly what I'm eating around the office and everything like that, to lose fat around being in the office and around the 9 to 5. But I actually ended up this weekend on the Isle of Wight seeing my grandparents. So right now I'm going to do a quick recap of what last week was like overall, and then I will continue with the day. So in terms of Monday through to Thursday last week, I was literally bang on everything like normal. In terms of like training was nice and consistent. It didn't really feel necessarily like the nicest, like I certainly didn't feel the strongest that I've ever felt, but training was nice and consistent, steps were nice and consistent, smashed the 12k every single day like I needed to, and then I just ate like normal, sort of around being in the office. So the 2,000 calories, 180 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs a day, and around about sort of like say 50 to 60 grams worth of fat each day. So all of that was spot on. And I was actually planning on staying in Swindon this last weekend, but my parents were going down to the Isle of Wight, so the opportunity came along to go and see my grandparents. So I decided that I'd go and do so. And on the Friday and Saturday, and even yesterday, so Sunday, I was down on the Isle of Wight in the Friday evening, and then sort of like all day Saturday and yesterday as well. And in terms of say like the cut side of things, obviously I didn't train, but that was quite useful because, as I said, throughout the course of the week, I wasn't really feeling too strong, so I didn't mind not training. I almost thought of it as a bit of a deload. And with my nutrition, like my grandparents obviously eat vastly different from what I do, eat significantly less than I do and everything like that. And I wanted to make sure that I was still going to be relatively on track. So I took what my normal meals would be. So I took my overnight oats with me, and I also took my chicken mince and had those meals. But around that, my eating was more random than what it normally would have been. And also, I would say that like when you're dieting, probably like 90 to 95% of the time, your goal with your diet should be to try and sort of get it done as soon as possible. However, throughout the dieting process, there is sometimes going to be like social events and stuff like that that come up that mean more to you than potentially the diet does that weekend or that social event, for example. And this weekend was one of those. So whilst I controlled what I could, I also was a little bit more relaxed with things. And this isn't a case of me sort of like making excuses or anything like that. It's just more a case that this weekend I was like, right, I'm in a decent position. I am happy with the fact that I can be a little bit more social. Obviously it will eat into the sort of like the progress that I see over the course of the week. But I mean, having like the cups of tea that my grandma was making and having a strawberry meringue dessert both days was more worth it to me than what fat loss was. And I think that every now and then, that's absolutely fine, as long as obviously it is every now and then. And ultimately, you then, off the back of it, you can't be there like, oh, I'm so annoyed that I didn't see fat loss that week, or I didn't see as much progress that week, because ultimately you made the decision to be more chilled out, which, as I say, is absolutely fine. But there's obviously like consequences from doing so effectively. But the weekend was really, really nice. As I say, obviously nutrition was a little bit different. And this morning, I've woken up and I'm 68.6 kilos. So now about like 0.7 kilos up from where I was when I left. And that would mainly just be changes in digestion. Like I woke up this morning, felt really like heavy and bloated, and digestion's not been the same sort of place as it has been previously. I just know that weight would have been from sort of changes in food and changes in digestion and potentially more water retention, or just being a little bit fuller, because I had quite a lot of roast potatoes on the Saturday as well. But that is pretty much the current position and how the weekend went. And also the head side of things. Shit, just dropped something. Not shaved the noggin today, so the receding trim is coming out. But I basically, it doesn't look too bad there. But I've burnt my shoulders here, and I also burnt my noggin, so it hurts to shave my head. So not doing that, and I'm going to be wearing a hat all day today. But with all of that said, and the recap done from last week, let's go into this week a little bit more. Good afternoon. I've been to the gym and it was a very solid session, like as always, with the fact that I had a bit more food over the course of the weekend, and having a deload as well. I told myself to sort of try and push as much as possible. The session itself was a little bit different from normal because I wasn't quite able to film as much as like I normally would. And I was also conscious because there was lots more people there of getting in people's way. So I had to do a few different exercises and stuff like that in comparison to normal. Such as I did like dumbbell incline press as opposed to Smith machine incline press. And I also had to do like dumbbell lateral raises because where I usually use cuffs, my arms are a little bit burnt, like they don't look it, but my arms are a little bit burnt. And where I usually use cuffs, it would have been literally agony doing it because I've put some cream on now, but I can feel that it's quite burnt, so I'm not gonna be out in the sun for too long. But I was very happy, at the end of it, I was very happy with how I was looking, certainly looking like fuller. I had more carbs over the weekend inevitably because, as I say, most of the time I ate the staple meals that I normally would, but like on the Saturday, for example, we had a roast dinner, and I had like the majority of the potatoes out of me and my grandparents, and so I definitely had more carbs. I felt nice and full, obviously not as full as I potentially like could have been without a doubt in terms of like muscle fullness, but certainly felt much less flat than I did a few days ago. And I certainly felt from the deload much more sort of like refreshed as well, and I was looking like this, and very happy with where things are. I am not quite done with this diet yet. I was planning on sort of calling it a day at the end of May, but I'm just not quite. I want to continue pushing on. I'm in a good position now, and I'm certainly in probably the best shape that I've actually been in, but it's still not quite where I want to be. Like I still want to be pushing on a little bit more. So with that, that actually brings me on to one of the changes that I'm making from a cardio point of view. I'm going to keep my steps at 12k, but I'm actually going to introduce a little bit of cardio now. So I'm going to just do 2 lots of 15 minutes on the elliptical over the course of the week. And this isn't actually going to be separate from my steps. I'm going to include this within my steps. So it's going to be like 12k steps still, but on 2 of the days, I'm actually going to do 15 minutes of actual specific cardio. And then additionally, from a nutrition point of view, I'm actually going to pull food down very, very slightly, just by around about 100 calories or so. I've not done the exact maths of it, but I normally have 75 grams of cream of rice when I first wake up. I think I'm just going to reduce that down to 50 because I don't normally feel sort of too hungry for those morning sessions. And I know it's only 100 calories, but like say over the course of the week, that's at least 700 calories less that I'm having. And then over the course of like the month, that could sort of equate to like an extra pound worth of fat loss. So, and at this moment in time, that will make quite a significant difference. But with that all discussed, my post-workout nutrition for today is just going to be a scoop of protein powder and like a protein shake with some creatine in it. I had a scoop of creatine before training and after because I missed it for the last few days. And then I'm also going to have these 2 rice cakes as well. I'm pretty sure they are probably going to be stale because I think Erin had them and she hasn't sealed them up properly, so it's probably going to be a bit stale. Now I'll catch you a little bit later on because I'm probably going to show you how I set up a client because I've got one to set up today. They are a bit stale. Sorry about the audio on that last clip, very annoying. My microphone wasn't connected properly. It keeps annoying me, like it keeps going really static and not connecting properly, so it is doing my head in at the moment. Since I got back from the gym, I have been doing like content and other work, and now it's time for me to set a new client up. So when I actually set a client up, the very first thing that I do is I send them through like their email, which then takes them to their coaching hub, and I send them a setup video talking through exactly what to be getting on with, exactly what to be doing, exactly what to sort of expect at the start of the process. And normally what I typically get them to do is keep a food diary for say like the first few days whilst I'm actually getting them set up. The whole reason that I do this is because I typically want to see sort of where my client's nutrition is to start with, and then I can see like, right, okay, this is the position that they're currently in, these are the changes that we need to make immediately, these are some of like the longer term changes that we can make. But as well as that, I also get them to, so they fill out like a questionnaire and talk through everything, and based upon that questionnaire, based upon the nutrition, and based upon also a training assessment, which is also something else that they fill out, I then go and completely make everything from scratch. So that is literally what I'm just about to be doing. So I'm about to look at this person's questionnaire, read through it all, have a look at the nutrition that they've done for me so far, have a look at like the current position that they're in, and then try and determine like the best, what I think is going to be the best approach for them. And then once I've done so, and once I've sort of set everything up, it'll be a case that I then send them for a video talking through exactly what we're doing, exactly why it is that we're doing what we're doing. And from there, typically what will happen is I'll ask the client sort of like, are they okay with it? Is there anything they don't understand? Is there anything that they need sort of like more explanation of? But typically 9 times out of 10, they're happy with what they've got, and they might have like a question or two, but we then just sort of get the ball rolling. And like with my coaching, the whole goal really is that I make every single approach based upon that specific client. So like say that, for example, you're interested in becoming a client. It's not something that I've like got pre-made and then I just like copy and paste and change a few bits. I literally make every single thing from scratch for each client. Oh, I'm actually just editing this video up and I realized that I hadn't concluded it. It's literally like a week after I filmed the video, so I can't really remember what I was going to say. But I think I was going to say, at this moment in time, I currently only have one space left for a client until I'm completely full with clients. So if you are interested in working with me and want to find out more about how I can help you, just feel free to drop me a message on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram link in the description. Equally, if you're fed up of getting into the gym and not seeing the changes you're after or not seeing the fat loss you're after around the 9 to 5 and around being in the office, I've created an in-depth nutrition guide going through exactly how to say like structured nutrition, macros to be aiming for, how to work around being in the office and all that sort of good stuff. And you can access that for free in the description as well. It won't cost you a penny. It won't sort of sign you up to like a sales sequence or anything like that. Genuinely, it is completely free because like my whole goal really is to try and provide you with as much sort of like help and as much value as possible. And other than that, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Like and subscribe to see future content and me continuing to get into the best shape of my life, because at this moment in time I'm planning on continuing cutting throughout June and really trying to sort of get into the best position that I possibly can. And I say, if you've got any questions or anything like that, just leave them in the comments. And again, thank you for watching.